don't know if you want to call it being a content creator or like being a creative or just not having a real job. It's okay to be eating this. Yes, it is a cake, but it's maybe kind of healthy. What is up, everyone? It is August 1st, so you know what that means. I'm going to be recapping or walking you through my July. As always, this is a long video with a lot of categories, so please feel free to use the video chapters below or skip to the categories here by jumping to the times I will put up here. Kicking off with where were we? This was much more of a straightforward month than every other recap I've done. So for basically the entirety of July, we spent in Budapest. So basically 4 full weeks in Budapest, and then we have just been in Prague for the last 4 or so days or nights. If you want to check out my video on like my first impressions of Budapest, or if you've never been there and like want to get an idea of what Budapest is like, feel free to check that video out. I will drop the card or put a link to the video in the description below. And if you want to see what Prague looks like, this Saturday will be our first day in Prague. All you have to do is tune in Saturday. So that's where we were, what we did in the month of July. So the major thing, and depending how many of my videos you've been watching lately, is we dealt with the heat in Budapest. When we arrived, it was 99 degrees Fahrenheit, and it was very tough. There were 2 broken fans, so we opened the windows and got just destroyed by mosquitoes the first night. The second thing is happier, so we fell in love with Budapest again. And so this was our 3rd time back total, 2nd time back together, and just every time we've been there, we love it. I think after staying there this time, it is definitely a contender for both of us on the short list of places we would move or like live or sign a lease. So I need to do some homework and see the options there. I think there might be like a digital nomad visa or like a land ownership visa. Property is actually still affordable in my opinion. Can talk about that in another video, but I just loved Budapest. I love it. One of the best cities in Europe. I would say #1 city in Central Europe. I missed my finger. #1 city in Central Europe, and the only city or cities that like stand up to it in all of Europe for me would be like Lisbon and Porto, which are my other like top 2. So just like one of my favorite cities. Lots and lots of craft beer. So the month of July was very beer heavy. I'm very happy about this. We've been drinking like a lot of beer and wine this whole trip, but in Budapest, we really started hitting like a lot of like craft beer bars or breweries or tap rooms. And I didn't remember Budapest having so many good like craft beer bars and this and that, but we had a ton of great beers at a lot of cool bars with really good vibes. And then not surprisingly, that carried on into our first few days here in Prague. I think we've already been to 6 or 7 like bars where like, they're not just bars, like we sought them out for good beer. So July was the month of craft beer, and I don't see that slowing down because we're, in my opinion, in the beer capital of the world in Prague right now. We cooked more in July, or maybe I should say Yunji cooked more. If you've watched any of my shorts on here, or you're on my Instagram or TikTok, you might have seen some like shorts or like short form content on like cooking. We started doing these like tartines or like open face sandwiches for lunch, and like they're delicious. They're basically just whatever bread, like sourdough. Here we're gonna do rye, Greek yogurt, and then like we got into like oyster mushrooms and red onions and then different herbs and lemon and spices. And I think they're fairly healthy, in my opinion, but they're delicious. But I have enjoyed Yunji cooking those things and just like eating more home cooked meals. Another somber thing. Another thing that I did in July was really dealt with like, I don't know if you want to call it being a content creator or like being a creative or just not having a real job. I don't want to talk too much about this. I did like a 5-minute video last Wednesday, just kind of like sharing how I feel. So I can drop that card up here. You can check my channel or the link in description just to hear me vent, I guess, about some of the challenges of like doing this. And then lastly, and I've already alluded to this at least twice, we began our Prague chapter. So we'll be here for the next few weeks. Spoiler for the end of the video. And I'm just really happy to be here. I think the #1 thing was just getting away from the heat. The weather here is much, much, much better. I think Sunday or Saturday I was wearing like a sweater and pants. So it's just been really nice, really comfortable here. I really like where our Airbnb is located. If you want to see a quick peek at that, you can check out my shorts. I did a very quick like 30-second tour of this place, but I really like the area we're in. I really am enjoying Prague so far. So really excited about this like next chapter, even though it's probably not as long as most of y'all's chapters are. Okay, so we are now reaching the food portion of this. This will be a longer section. So again, if you don't care about food, you don't want to hear about what I eat, that's not a problem. Please skip to this time that I'm going to edit in later, or as usual, check the video chapters, see what's interesting to you and skip there. I always struggle to limit this. I'm going to talk about 7 places. And I always try to narrow this down to like 5 things. It's just so tough. Like in a perfect world, I'd talk about 11 or 15, but let's just talk about some of my favorite stuff. So I think my favorite thing, and this was shocking because, quick aside, I think the food scene's better in Budapest than Prague. Don't at me, don't cancel me. But my favorite thing I ate in the month of July was actually here in Prague at a place called Crow Bistro and Rotisserie. And I had the pork knuckle special. It came with like pork knuckle, potato pancake, pickled veg, this like horseradishy mustard sauce, this other kind of like sweet sauce. There was kimchi, like it was just so good. I loved the proportions of meat to veg, and just like there were so many flavors and it just felt so clean. I love eating out, but it's usually so like buttery and salty, which are flavors I like, but there's nothing better than going out to eat and it feeling like kind of clean and light and not feeling like I need to pass out immediately. Sometimes it's nice to feel like that, but not always. So that was one of my favorite things. My favorite meal in Budapest, and this has been in a video, this has been in 1 or 2 shorts, I don't know how much I've posted where, but a place called Debrumba, and it's like Arabic or Mediterranean food. I think my favorite thing was their fattoush. So it's like a salad with like crispy pita and this delicious cheese, and the chicken was great. Their chicken liver was good, like chicken liver with pomegranate. It was too rich for Yuji, so I ate the bulk of that. The food is very like clean and light and veg heavy here, but we order so much I feel sick every time. And then the only thing we had twice was their basbousa, and this is just like this like semolina cake. It is so moist, and then it's topped with Greek yogurt that's so tart, slivered almonds and pomegranate seeds. I could eat one of those every day. It's a little decadent, but I think the tartness from the Greek yogurt like reins you in and makes you feel like it's okay to be eating this. Like, yes, it is a cake, but it's maybe kind of healthy, or you can pretend. And then in a similar vibe, Seraj is a Turkish place we went to twice, and we went there originally to get like, you know, like a gyro or like a doner kebab situation, and those were good, but I saw a bunch of people ordering. There's this like, it's a kind of cafeteria style, so you order in a row, and they have like, not tapas, but like a salad bar situation, or like hummus. There's just like a little bar, and everyone was getting this like yogurt and or tahini-ish eggplant thing, to the point where every time I've been there, I've seen them replace it like in real time. So like that is how many people are ordering it. I didn't realize how much I like or love eggplant, and just it with this yogurty tahini sauce, it tasted so like healthy, but the eggplant was cooked to perfection, and just like having something cold when it's hot out, it was just really nice. And then their cheesecake was so good. Most cheesecakes have like a crumble or like graham cracker situation on bottom. This one had like the cheesecake on the bottom, and then this like raspberry or like lingonberry kind of mousse on top that was like kind of tart, and unfortunately they didn't have it the second time we went, but it was so good. We went to a place called Hungaricum Bistro. I think this is the #1 rated local food on TripAdvisor. So TripAdvisor has so many different ways to break things down, and I'm not a TripAdvisor stan. I actually think you should be really careful about it, but if you care, there it is. And it's just like a typical Hungarian place. Basically everything we had there was good, even from like the amuse that came out. And they did like paprika 3 different ways and 3 different heat levels, and then some sort of, I don't even remember if it was like I'll just show it here because I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it was like very good. And then my favorite thing we had there was actually like this chicken dumpling or chicken pancake thing. It reminded me of my grandma's enchiladas in like the best way. I don't think most people get Hungarian food and they're like, you know what, I want like American style enchiladas, but it was so good. And then the thing I think people sleep on that you shouldn't, Hungarian cucumber salad with yogurt is incredible. And all it really is like mandolined or sliced really thin cucumber that's pickled and then topped with yogurt. And I don't know, maybe you could throw some toasted black sesame seeds on there, or like dash some paprika. Something about the acidity and like the creaminess and the tartness. It's just a very clean, light palate cleanser, but it's just delicious. And if you're in Hungary and that is on a menu, I know it sounds so simple, just please order it. And if you get mad at, or for some reason don't like it, yell at me later, but I think you'll like it. There's a place called Boar's Gastropub, and I don't really know how to describe it. You walk in, and there's some areas to stand in there. Most people get it to go or take it to the ruin bar around the corner. It's like a grunge, metal, hip hop place that serves like baguette sandwiches and soup. And there's a ton of hype behind it. Only negative thing for me is like the standing only, or you have to take it somewhere, and it's cash only. When we were there and I was ordering, I was like, these sandwiches look so small. You can get like a full sandwich or a half. And the half, I was like, that's a joke. The full one, I was like, thank God we ordered those because they look tiny. Then you get like a cup of soup and I'm like, that looks tiny. We couldn't finish our food. Another place we went 2 or 3 times and was just awesome. Shout outs to Connor and Mariana for recommending this place. And again, if you've seen my shorts, you may have seen it. It's called Cafe by Hainam. We originally were gonna go for just coffee or brunch. They just have a lot of good stuff, but the things that stand out besides their Fin coffee, which again, if you've never had Fin coffee, please try it, it's delicious. I went for their Eggs Benedict, and their Eggs Benedict ended up being kind of a letdown. It was interesting because they like pitched it as like this like kind of spicy hollandaise on like bao bread. It was fine, it was neither good nor bad. It was just very, very fine. Their Vietnamese breakfast though was delicious. It came with like the bread they use for banh mi's, and that bread was just like so crisp on the outside and so just airy on the inside. The eggs, the pate, the different meats, the pickled veg, it was just delicious. And then we did go back for the banh mi's, which were very good. As soon as I had that bread, I was like, you can kind of put anything in here and it's gonna be good. Their bread is just delicious. And then the last one, thanks for bearing with me. This was the other one we had in Prague. Did not expect to eat one of these here, a pickled sausage. So that might be weird enough for you. It's also served cold. It's sliced open and stuffed with bell peppers, onion, and like jalapeno or something, I already forget. Or no, a pickle. And you eat this cold, and they basically had like 4 or 5 sausage options, and I was like, what's your favorite? And I was like, okay, we'll get that. And then he's like, if you've never had this is the most like traditional Czech pub fare. So I was like, okay, let's get it. It's so good because you get the meat taste, but you get the pickle flavor, and then you get all these different textures, both from the sausage and the stuff it's stuffed with. So if you're in Prague, please try one of these. I'm gonna try to get everyone who visits us to try these as long as they're open to it, just because it was like funky, but it was so good. Even thinking about it right now, I'd love to go for one right now. Congrats, you survived the food portion. So I'll quickly run through just like my content creation for the month. And as usual, if this is not interesting to you, please skip ahead, use the video chapters. So I published 9 videos this month. And the reason that's interesting is, you know, there's typically 30 days in a month. So you'd think there would always be 8 videos if I do 2 a week. This was finally a month where 9 fell. My best performing video was the We're Back in Mexico City. Not a huge surprise. Most of the people who follow me are interested in Mexico and Mexico City. My worst performing was Budapest's Jewish quarter. I think this had to do with both the thumbnail, and we're in this like transitory period of trying to get new viewers and old viewers excited about Europe content. And then my favorite video I did, it's a toss up between 2. I love budgeting and spreadsheets and talking about it. And as you can imagine, I don't have a ton of people to talk to about this. So it was fun to make the video and like see people actually watch it. And then the other one that was not fun, but I felt good about being able to like open up and be vulnerable was like the sharing my feels like thing a few days ago that I referenced earlier. So those are my 2 favorite videos that I did just because like I enjoyed making them and they're very different. Can link both of those in description if you want to check either of those out. And looking ahead content-wise for YouTube, so I mentioned in that video I'm going to be taking some time off and only doing Saturday videos just because I think there's only like 4 or 5 days this entire month we don't have people like family or friends visiting. So I will continue doing Saturday videos. So this Saturday is going to be our first day in Prague, so this last weekend. So it's gonna be fresh content. It's really cool. We went to a lot of my favorite places. And then I'm gonna do 2 more real-time Prague videos. And then I'm going to share, and this one's already scheduled and ready, our Old Town tour of KOTOR. Highly recommend that one just because I don't think a lot of people have been there, and it was just a really cool place and we did a lot that day. So that's everything for YouTube. For blogs, I promise this is the last time this is gonna happen. I dropped the goose egg again. I wrote 0 posts. We'll talk about this a little more in the commitment section after this. For short form, I did a lot better than I expected, and this is something I'm going to try to keep up regardless of how many people are visiting. So I created or published, whatever you want to call it, created, edited, published 23 TikToks. I posted 6 Reels to Instagram and 10 Shorts. I think I should just talk about TikTok because that's where I'm going to create most of the stuff, and then anything that does decently or isn't me being way too weird, I will post on YouTube Shorts. So if you want to see everything in real time, follow me on TikTok or Instagram. If you just want to stay on YouTube, no worries, just occasionally poke into my shorts on here. Poke into my YouTube Shorts, not the shorts I'm wearing. Yes, that's a dad joke. So now I want to talk about commitments or commits. This is a new category from last time, and let's recap how I did with July. So I had 3.5-ish things I committed to in July. My first 2 had to do with TikTok. So my first one was post once per week on TikTok. I blew this one out of the water. I posted almost 6 per week. So that one was good. My other one was come up with a plan. This one is a work in progress. I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'm gonna do for my blogs. I set a goal of writing 2, completely failed. We'll talk about that in a second. And then I did like a soft commit on Hungarian. I never came up with a plan, never did the flashcard thing. Yunji was like, why don't we try to learn 3 words a day? We did that occasionally. That was a fail. We'll talk more about what I'm gonna do for check and to prevent failure in a second. So that was July. So I succeeded on 1.5 of them and completely failed on 1. For August, I'm going to start with the blog issue. I'm committing to 4 blog posts this month. I think I'm just gonna do it. I know that sounds like a stupid way to do it, but I think instead of like stockpiling them, I'm going to write my first blog post on this video I'm doing, so my monthly recap, and I'm just gonna try to get in the rhythm of doing it every week and just not making an excuse. So 4 blog posts for the month or 1 a week. For TikTok, instead of 1 per week, I'm going to try to do 6 per week. So that's 1 every day, except it gives me, like, if I'm tired or like in a bad mood or something, I can get 1 day off a week. The fact that I was basically averaging almost 4 per day, this should be fine, but I think 6 TikToks per week is the floor I want to establish. And then I want to create a more sustainable and objective plan for TikTok. So whether that be the content types, the post schedule, I do think short form is what's going to help also grow my YouTube. This is a tangent, but like some of the shorts I posted on here have popped. So instead of getting a few hundred views, I have a few things that have gone, 1,000, or like I have a reel that did like 5K almost. And what's even cooler, regardless of views, these shorts are generating YouTube subscribers that will hopefully watch my long form content. Next portion. So book-wise, I did well again, where I hit my monthly goal. My goal for the year is 50 books, so that's a little more than 4 a month. I read 6 books this month. So going in order, The Dark Forest. So this is what I was currently reading last time, I believe. This is book 2 in the Remembrance of the Past. This book was incredible. I don't want to talk too much about these just because this video is so long, so maybe I will start doing short forms on books. After that book was very heavy, so I need something light, so I read another Jack Reacher book. I reread a Jack Reacher book rather, Die Trying. It's the 2nd Jack Reacher book. This is actually one of the better ones in my opinion. After that, I still wanted to keep it light before going into the finale of the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy. So Yunji recommended Red Queen. I had read a book, a nonfiction one, in college that had nothing to do with this. This was young adult fiction fantasy. Probably the worst book I read this month, but at the same time, the way it ended, I actually really want to read the second one, so I'll have to come to terms with that. After that, I still wasn't ready for the finale, so I read another Jack Reacher book, this time the 4th book, because I couldn't find the 3rd one from the library. This one's called Running Blind. I think I also liked this one. I'm not sure if I liked it more or less than Die Trying, but I liked it, especially for a Reacher book. And then finally, I read Death's End. That's the 3rd book in the Remembrance of Earth's Past trilogy. Incredible book, incredible trilogy. All 3 books are incredible. I highly recommend this to everyone. After that, I needed like something light, so I went back to Jack Reacher. This time I read The Enemy. This was book 8. This is my least favorite of the 3 I've read, but still better than the one I read a few months ago that was like co-written by the dad and the son. We don't need to get into that. I'm currently reading, or rather listening to, A Wild Sheep Chase. Love Murakami, he's probably my favorite author. I'm listening to that, I'm rereading it. I read it like a year or two ago, and I will probably finish that today or tomorrow, and then I'm probably gonna go into a bit of a Murakami bender. Learning, I think I alluded to this, but like learning how to deal with measuring success, like just making content I want instead of getting caught up in like views and likes and vanity metrics. I think I'm just like working on learning that, and then like living in the moment and not perpetually thinking about the future. I don't think I dwell in the past much, but like when we're in Budapest, I'm thinking about where to eat in Prague. When we're in Prague, I'm like, well, where should we go travel to in October? I just need to really just like be present. You're in Prague. Don't think about where you're gonna eat the next meal. Don't think about tomorrow. Like, we're here, we're walking around. Like, do you wanna beer here? Do you wanna go sit in the park now? What do you wanna do now? Like, stop planning. If you can relate to that, hit me in the comments. Language, Hungarian was a bit of a fail. I did learn some useful phrases and words, and it's less intimidating than it previously was. Just if you have no background in Hungarian and you try to phonetically read a word, just good luck. Like, good luck saying thank you or cheers. I guess you could try. Like, it does not look like that at all, but we learned. We didn't do as much as I'd like. The plan for Czech is similar plan to Hungarian. I'm going to try to hold myself to learning 3 words a day, and for any day I don't learn 3, I'm gonna go back and try to like think of something to learn. So far, we're on a much better start to Czech than Hungarian. Money and finances. So some of you only watch for this. If you skipped and used the video chapters, no worries. So this is the first positive month since I started doing these. So for my portfolio, I ended the month of July up $83,465. I guess you would have seen that in the thumbnail. That sounds great, but it doesn't even make up for April, nor does it make up for May and June combined. I'm just being a negative Nancy. Am I happy it's up? Yes. Do I trust that like we bottomed out and things are over? No. Do I feel like an idiot that this is the first time I sold and was sitting on cash? Yes. We can talk about any of those things in another video. Hit me in the comments if you have no clue what I'm talking about or want clarification. Always happy to talk about this. I am still, even after a positive July, year to date, I am down $266,650. So over a $250,000 down. The fact that I think I was down over like 3 or 330 at one point, this feels better. Do I want to be down over a $250,000? Absolutely not. If you make money, just automate your paycheck to invest in something, or at least go to a brokerage and invest. Don't try to time the market. Save as much as you can, invest all of it, and wait. Profit. So that's my portfolio. For spend, for the total for July, for just me, I spent $1,286. $803.50 of that was accommodation, mostly in Budapest, but partially here. Spent $376 on food and beverage, food and alcohol. $104 on transportation, which I would imagine part of that is amortizing our flights to and from Europe, and then the train to get to Prague. For activities and miscellaneous, spent $2.50, I think, on like toothpaste and laundry detergent. And then the total for both of us, for Yunji and myself, was just twice as much as it was for me. We spent $2,573 for both of us. And where to next? Kind of alluded to this already. We'll be in Prague basically for the entirety of August. Really excited that we have a lot of family and friends visiting, as we haven't really seen anyone this whole trip, besides some friends we've made along the way. But it will be very good to just like catch up with people here starting Thursday. So just a few more days till people get here. If you watch this whole thing, gold star. Thanks so much for watching this. I enjoy making these, so I'm gonna keep doing it. These are getting so long, so I'm not sure if I will edit out the food I ate stuff or just say, this is a 30-minute video, watch what you want, but appreciate you watching these. I will be back this Saturday for our first day in Prague, and then there will be videos every Saturday. Look out for YouTube Shorts, hit me on TikTok. Thanks for hanging out. Have a great day and have a great week.